Hi, I'm Vivian and I was once a junior transfer at UC Berkeley. Today I'm sharing 10 things I wish I knew before I transferred to UC Berkeley. Well, I would really appreciate this information. Number one, housing. Housing was a big thing for me when I first transferred. I would recommend that you go look on the housing Facebook group, which I'll link down below. Well, I would recommend that you don't live in dorms. What my other transfer friends also told me, if you lived in dorms, you would be sharing the dorm with a lot of freshman students and you might not get along with them since they really hang out together, and also you're not tied to a meal plan. So I would say that finding your own housemates that are third year would be better for you socially. To note, when you're looking for housing, there's south side versus north side, and north side is usually where more sciencey classes take place, whereas south side is where more social science classes take place. So take that into consideration when you're looking. Usually north side is a little bit more quiet and the prices should be a little lower, whereas south side is probably where most of your friends will be hanging out. That's where the fraternities and sororities are as well. It's more hustling bustling. There are a lot of restaurants, stores around there, but the prices could be a little higher, so take that into consideration when you're looking. Number two, safety. I transferred from UC Irvine. Irvine was a really safe location. We could walk out at 2 a.m. after studying at the university halls, but at Berkeley, the first thing I got there, they told me was to not walk alone after 10 p.m. or some people even go as extreme as saying after sundown. So especially if you're a girl, maybe make sure that you're walking with a buddy. I do have friends who've gotten robbed at gunpoint. You would get a lot of UCPD alerts on your phone, so make sure you check that to see what's happening. A lot of robberies, a lot of gunshots happening. UC Berkeley is not a really safe place, and I didn't know that before going to the Bay Area. It's right next to Oakland, so I guess I understand the danger there. But yeah, like just make sure you keep safe. Number three, social life. Make sure you go to all the welcoming events when you start school the first 2 weeks. They're so amazing. I did my research and apparently Berkeley is one of the schools with the largest amount of student organizations, over 300 something. And I would say people are the opposite of homogenous there. Like everyone would find their own group of people. Everyone belongs to a group. I would say that as a transfer student, I was really insecure about not knowing anyone. So I joined a lot of clubs. You only have 4 semesters anyways. I was involved in at least 1 to 3 clubs every single semester. It's really worth it and you get free food. I would encourage you to attend those welcome events during the first 1 to 3rd week. They're really worth it. Number 4, study areas. So there are a lot of study areas around UC Berkeley. There's Doe Library, which is a little morbid. There's Moffett Library, which is always packed. There are also a lot of cafes around South Side and North Side. North Side, I would say Phil's or Pete's Coffee, but then they're always packed. So make sure you go earlier. But then South Side, the internet is kind of wobbly or you get robbed if you're sitting outside at an outdoor cafe. So I would say that my secret tip is to look at Blue Jay Cafe. That's where I went the most when I was a student there. They have pretty good internet and they're not always packed. Like you can usually find a seat. So make sure you find where you like to study with your friends or alone. Number 5, student ID. It's super important. I recommend that you get the student ID, which merges with your bus pass, Muni Pass, and BART pass. It's super convenient, and also you can use that ride pass and take free buses around campus. And you also get a lot of benefits with the student ID. You can go on to Campanile for free, whereas if you're not a student, I believe you have to pay $10. There are a lot of benefits that come with your student ID and your first year transfer student benefits. Like you should definitely check out the resources page, but you get a first year free game pass, big game with Stanford Pass, and that's the same right as freshman students. They get first game free and you should definitely take advantage of that. Next, faculty and classes. UC Berkeley, the name itself is really big. I think most of us would know, but I didn't do my research in terms of what classes are super famous there, and that's CS61 ABC series. So if you really want to challenge yourself, even if you're not a STEM major like me, I took 61A and that absolutely ruined me, but it's okay. You can take it pass, no pass, just for fun, just to check off your bucket list. It's the most famous class, I would say, in UC Berkeley. So definitely check that out if you have extra units that you can take. And also the most famous professor, like a traditional famous professor, I would say is Robert Reich. Robert Reich. He was a former Secretary of Labor for the US, so he's really famous, and his classes are reserved usually for seniors. So when you're a senior, try to hop on that class. It's usually always filled, waitlist. It's crazy. I didn't get the chance to take it, but a lot of my friends did, and they said it's really worth it. He's basically the star professor, so why not? And apparently that class isn't too difficult. You just have to attend. You have to show up. Number 7, student spirit. That's something that's super important to me. So I transferred twice. It's a long story, but I transferred from NYU to UC Irvine before transferring into Berkeley, and both of the other schools did not have a school spirit, or they weren't super strong. And so I've always really ogled the school spirit that UCLA or USC had, and UC Berkeley kind of does have it. Like, our nemesis is Stanford, so whenever there's a big game, like, people are always wearing Cal gear, and it's just a fun time. I think it's something that you really shouldn't miss out as a college experience. That's something you go through together, and it's really worthy. So you should definitely go to the big game, the tailgates, just to check out what university school spirit campus life is really like. Also, before the big game each year, there are a week-long ceremony. Stanford's mascot is trees, so there are wood chopping events and wood burning events, and those are really worth just to go check out because it's pretty funny and people get together and you just all relate and hate on another school. So it's pretty fun. Number 8, student culture. So that relates to school spirit, right? But this is different. I would definitely encourage you to join this Facebook group called UC Berkeley Memes for Edgy Teens. I'll link it in the description box below as well. They're super funny. It's actually one of the biggest university meme pages ever, and I think one of the first ones that I've started. You'll just see a lot of dark humor there, people just suffering, shitting on other majors. It's just pretty funny, and it's really satirical sometimes, and you can really understand the culture of what students are going through. I feel like going through something rough together, which is to get the degree. C's get degrees. You should definitely go join the group and see what students are up to and understand inside jokes as a Berkeley student. That's really valuable. Another one is called Overheard at UC Berkeley, and you get to hear really funny murmurs around the school, around campus. That helps you get to know the people and the culture around the school a lot too. So I recommend you join that as well. Number 9, something that I overlooked is health service. I'm not sure what insurance plan you're on, but if you're on the Berkeley insurance plan, definitely make the best use out of it. I think you get really good deals for free birth control kind of stuff, free checkup, therapy session. Just take care of mental health as well as physical health, and just go check out the website to see what your benefits really are, because I never did, so I feel like I did miss out on that part. So do your research on what's available to you. Number 10 and last, it's just some extra here and there tips about myths around UC Berkeley. I'm sure your orientation leader will tell you more about it, but for example, you're not supposed to walk on the university seal on the glade because apparently that gives you bad GPA. There are just a ton of traditions that students at UC Berkeley, they follow, and you should go look into those because they're pretty funny. You'll soon realize why you're the only one walking on that university seal. Or other things like hiking the Big C. It's just a little short hike up to a big yellow C that represents Cal, painted in yellow, and it's probably a 30-minute round trip if you really want to make it quick. So it's an easy hike, but it's a beautiful view. You get to see the whole campus, the Bay Area, you get to see San Francisco from across the bay. It's pretty amazing. A lot of people don't know about it because it's kind of low-key, but then there's a lot of hiking trails around as well that you should definitely look into, because I feel like you only get 4 semesters and that's really not enough time to soak in all the experiences you want. And one last thing I would like to add is I think 4-year students that I know, they really take the campus for granted in terms of the natural look of it. I think the buildings are beautiful, and there's also Strawberry Creek and a lot of forest and greenery and Campanile. I think the buildings are really pretty except for the architecture building, which is really meta, but like if you just look around, the science buildings are really beautiful, the library is beautiful. It's just so rich in history that 4-year students often overlook. But me as a student who transferred from UC Irvine, which is only a 50-year-old school, it really struck me like as something that I really appreciated every time I stepped foot onto the campus. But maybe that's because I had limited time, 2 years versus 4, so I appreciate things more. But yeah, I hope these 10 tips helped, and good luck and congratulations if you're looking at this video in terms of if you're going to Berkeley as a transfer or you're considering the options. I would say that going to Berkeley was definitely the best choice I've ever made in my life. I was very hesitant at the beginning because I heard it's very rigorous and people in the Bay Area aren't nice or something, I don't know. But then people at Berkeley are so nice and worldly and just some of the most amazing people that I've met, and they're just my closest friends ever. I think you would love Berkeley. I don't know anyone who transferred to Berkeley and regretted it. So congratulations, and I hope this helped, and I'll see you next time.